Okie dokie, so we're on to round number 1 of our Moonflower, or in French, Fleur de Lune. So what we're going to be doing is working 8 puffs, and we're going to make the puffs yarn over times 4 with a chain 1 in between, and we're going to do that into a magic loop, right? So now always start with that little single crochet just to secure the magic loop, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, yarn over, pull through, chain 1 to close, chain 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, pull through, chain 1 to close, chain 1. Right, so you're just going to do that 8 times, so you'll have 8 puffs, and as I said, your puffs are yarn over times 4, and you're going to have 8 chain 1 spaces between, and the color is Vintage Peach, and I shall see you at the end of this round, and we'll finish this round off together. Okay, so I've done my 8 puffs and my 8 chain 1s, and now we're just going to pull our magic ring closed, and then to fasten off, you're going to find that little hole at the top of your beginning puff and just work a slip stitch. Fasten off. I like to do, some people just pull through, but I like to do that little knot. Right, now a word of advice: work in your ends after every round. You'll thank me later. All right, so that's round number 1, and I shall see you at round number 2. Okay, so we're on to round number 2, and we're going to be using our Parma Violet. We're going to be making half double crochet front posts over our puffs from the previous round. Now, when I start this way, which is a chain 2 front post, I use both the strands like that, and then just let the tail go, right? And then we're going to chain 1, 2, 3. Okay, then yarn over, work half double crochet front post over our second puff, 1, 2, 3, and so on. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. May as well just finish this off with you. 1, 2, 3. So you're going to have 8 half double crochet front posts and 8 chain 3 spaces, like that. 1, 2, 3, and then just slip stitch. I just slip stitch around. If you want to, you can go into that top stitch, that chain 2, but I just slip stitch around the chain space because we're going to be working into those chains, and then fasten off securely, right? And then, as I said before, best thing is to just work in your tails as you go along. Otherwise, you're going to have stacks of tails to work in later on. Okay, so that's round number 2, and I shall see you at round number 3. We're on to round number 3, and the color that I'm using is grape. And this time we are going to be making popcorns into our chain 3 spaces. Okay, so try and work over your tail. Three, 4, and 5. Right. Right, because when you work over your tail and you pull your little tail, it gives you a nice, neat beginning popcorn. Right, and then we're going to be making a chain 4 between our popcorns. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right. I have 2 cats trying to break in to my workroom. 1, 2, 3, 4. They're busy scratching on the door. But the thing is, if I let them in, they're just going to wander all over the work that I'm doing here and in front of the camera. Oh, goodness me. The trials and tribulations, right, of trying to make videos. So 4 and 5. All right, so you're just going to go on like that. It's going to go all the way around. So you're going to end up with 8 popcorns and 8 chain 4 spaces. And then to close, you'll just slip stitch into the top of your beginning popcorn and fasten off and work in your ends. Okay, so I shall see you at the end of round number 3 and the beginning of round number 4. So we're on to round number 4, and now round number 4 is a little bit tricky. So you need to keep your wits about you. So the color that I'm using is cream. And we're going to start as we normally do. Now, we're going to be working into our chain 3 space where we worked our previous popcorns. So we're working into the chain 3 space from round number 2. And we're going to start off with a treble. So again, I'm just going to do my sort of double-stranded chain. So I'm going to start with a chain 4. And that's equal to 1 treble front post. Right, now, so you're just going to kind of hold that at the back so it doesn't get in the way. Then you're going to, so now we're working into the chain 3 space to the right of your popcorn. So you can start anywhere, okay, in any of the chain 3 spaces, right? So you've worked a treble into that space. Now you're going to work into the left side. So sometimes words fail me how to explain it. So now you're going to be working to the left of that same popcorn and into the same chain 3 space from round number 2. We're going to work those 2 trebles together like that. Now you're going to push your popcorn to the front and you're going to work a single crochet into the popcorn like that. Then you're going to chain 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and you're going to work another single crochet back into that popcorn, and you're kind of working over that join where you worked the 2 trebles together. All right, like that. So you've got 2 single crochets. Then you're going to chain 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and repeat. So now it's a bit easier to show you the second set. So now again, we're going to work into that chain 3 space, right of our popcorn, and we want to work our 2 trebles together. So we're going to yarn over twice, and now we're going to work left of our popcorn. Okay, going to work those together. We're going to push our popcorn forward, work a single crochet into the popcorn. Just check your tension while you're doing this. Chain 6, right? Again, single crochet into the popcorn, so right next to your previous single crochet. Chain 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Right. So, so after all that, what you're going to have is that. Right. So when you see it in its entirety, then it sort of makes sense. Okay, so you can see where we have our 2 single crochets with our chain 6 loop, right? Then we've got our trebles either side of, so framing our popcorn, and then a chain 6 in between, and so on. And you're just going to carry on like that, right? And then you'll make your last chain 6 and just slip stitch into the top of your beginning chain 4 and fasten off and work in your ends. All right, so that is round number 4. The color that I'm using is cream, and I shall see you at round number 5. So I thought I'd just show you, because I did say, but I thought I'd just show you where to finish off. Okay, and just slip stitch, snip off your yarn. There we go. Okay, so there you go. So it's going to look like that, your round number 4. Then we can move on to round number 5. See you there. Okay, so we're on to round number 5. And round number 5, I'm going to be using the duck egg. Now, what we're going to be doing is working 5 double crochets into our chain 6 loop. So we're going to work 5 double crochets, chain 2, 5 double crochets, and we're just going to work that all the way around. Okay, so I'm going to just not do my double strand here. Right, so now chain 3 equal to 1 double crochet, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Chain 2, then 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Yarn over. Whoops. don't do what I just did there. Right, and then we're going to scoot right over. So we're going to skip our chain, this chain 6, and we're going to work into our next chain 6 loops. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, chain 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're going to skip our next chain 6 and into the next chain 6 loop. We're going to continue. So I'll just do one last set with you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, chain 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. Okay, so you're going to have 80 because we have 10 double crochets in each section. So you're going to have 80 double crochets, or 8 times 10 double crochets and 8 chain 2 spaces, right? You're not doing anything in between, you're just skipping straight over each time like that. Okay, so you're just going to carry on like that, and then to finish up you'll just slip stitch into your second double crochet. So that's where you'll finish. All right, fasten off, work in your ends, and I shall see you at round number 6. So I've made a little bubble in the center of my puffs just for fun. So the way to make that bubble is just make one puff into a magic ring and then close it off and work through the center of your 8 puffs like that. Okay, so I kind of did that just in the meantime. Right, now we are on to, so this is just an little optional round, okay? So now we are on to round number 6, and we're going to be working half double crochet front posts over our double crochets from our previous round. Okay, so the color that we're using is the Parma Violet. Okay, so now you can begin with any of them. So begin with, you know, one of 5. We're going to chain 2. So we're going to do a chain 2 front post, which is equal to 1 half double crochet. And now we're working these half double crochet front posts over the tip of our stitches. Okay, so not over the post, but over the tip. It's a little bit more difficult with the end one, but you can do it. Then we're going to chain 2, yarn over, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's a little bit awkward. And then we're just going to work over the next double crochet like that so that we can pick up that little strand. 1, and then 2, 3, 4. So now, you know, I'm just being very pedantic here by trying to go into the tip of the stitch, but you can just go around the top like that as well. Okay, chain 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, Okay, so you can see how, this is just technicalities. It really doesn't matter if you go that way or if you go that way. Right? So I'm going that way and then going this way. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then again. If your tension's very tight, you're not going to be able to get into the tip there, into the really tippy top of the stitch. You can, but you have to fight for it. So you may as well just go around. But so basically what you're going to be doing is, instead of going over the post, you're going into the top of the stitch. If that makes sense. Chain 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Chain 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and so on. Okay, so you're just trying to work into the top of those stitches, of those double crochets. Okay, so you're working front posts, half double crochet front posts over the tippy tops of the double crochet. So it's the only way I can describe it. Okay, so you're just going to carry on like that. Just go all the way around. The thing is, whichever way you decide to do that stitch, so this, the last one before you make your chain 2, and then again those two, just remain consistent so that it doesn't look different. Okay, if you know what I mean. So that is round number 6. Color is Parma Violet. So now you are going to have 8 times 10 half double crochet front posts, and you're going to have 8 times chain 2 spaces. Okay, so I shall see you at round number 7. And then to close, you're just going to slip stitch into your second half double crochet front post and fasten off. Okay, there we go, and then work in your ends. Though I suppose you don't have to work in your ends every single time. You can also work them in every couple of rounds, but don't leave it for too long. Otherwise, you'll be cursing me. Okay, so that is round number 6, and I shall see you at round number 7. On to round number 7, and the color we're using is pistachio. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to find our section where we have our 5 half double crochet front posts from the previous round. I'm going to skip the first 2, and into the next space we're going to work a puff. 1, 2, 3, yarn over times 3, pull through and chain 1 to close, and into the next space 1, 2, 3, and into the next space 1, 2, 3. Then we're going to chain 1, and into the next chain 2 space we're going to work another puff, also yarn over times 3, chain 1 to close, chain 1. Then we're going to skip over to our next space between the 5 half double crochet front posts. We're just going to work into the first 3. 2, 1, 2, 3. Okay, like so. Right. And then we're going to chain 2, 1, 2, yarn over. So we're actually skipping 4 half double crochet front posts now. 1, 2, 3, 4. And into the next space. 1, 2, 3. And then 1, 2, 3. Into the next space. And 1, 2, yarn over times 3. Chain 1 to close. Chain 1. Into the next chain 2 space. Chain 1 to close, chain 1, and then 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3, chain 2, and repeat. Okay, so it's going to look like that. Right, so it's always better when I stop and you can see exactly what's going on. Okay, so it's going to look like so. So you're going to have 8 sections of 7 puffs and 2 chain 1 spaces. Okay, and then you're going to have 8 times chain 2 spaces. All right, so that is, and then of course when you finish up, you're going to go all the way around like that, and then you'll just slip stitch into the top of your beginning puff to close, and that's it. And then just fasten off and work in your ends. And I shall see you at round number 8. Okay, so we're on to round number 8. Now round number 8, we're not carrying on here, but we're actually going back to our little center spot. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to be working half double crochets into our chain 1 space between the puffs from our very first round. Okay, the other thing is we're also going to go down a hook size. Okay, so if you're using a 4mm hook, we're going to go down to 3.50 millimeters. If you're using a bigger hook, just go down that half size. Okay, so we're just gearing down to a smaller hook size. It's not imperative. If you don't have a smaller hook size, then don't worry about it. Just carry on with your size. But I found it just easier to work this with a smaller hook size. So we're going to start with a chain 2, which is equal to 1 half double crochet, and then we're just going to work another 3 half double crochets. So we'll have 4 half double crochets, and this is just a very simple, almost like a little border around our very center little flower with the puffs. All right, and then we're going to work a single crochet over our front post stitch from round number 2. Then we're going to skip over again into that chain 1 space from round number 1. Just going to work 4 half double crochets. Very simple. I did actually, when I was busy designing this, experimented with different types of little sort of petals in this area, but then eventually I just settled on just very simple half double crochets. I was doing picots and I was doing big and small stitches and making it very fancy, but actually I kind of kept on going back to just this. Okay, so you just keep on going. 1, oops, I'm just going to finish this thing with you. This thing. Okay, just going to finish this part. Okay, it's a little bit finicky, and you can just, you know, double over your work as I have, so that your chain one isn't so difficult to navigate. Okay, we're just working over that front post stitch. One, two, three, four. You can just speed this up if it's a bit like watching paint dry. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, and so you'll have 8 times 4 half double crochets and 8 times single crochet. I'm going to call them front posts that we've worked over. So it is a bit like a front post stitch, like that. Okay, and then to close off, you'll just single crochet, slip stitch into your second half double crochet and snip off. Well, there we go. Right, and then I'm just going to do that. I always do that little double knot. You're just going to pull your tails to the back and so, and then you can work in your tails, right? Okay, so all it does is just makes a very cute little border like that. Okay. There we go. Very simple and straightforward. And then of course you've got those little bits sticking out as well. So I'm using these very sort of pale colors, and but of course you might be using something a little bit more dramatic. Okay, so it's going to look like that. Right, so that is round number 8, and I shall see you upstairs again over here at round number 9. On to round number 9, and the color that I'm using is grape, and of course I've gone back up to my 4mm hook size. Now what we're going to do is find our section of 7 puffs, right, from our round number 7. And so if we think of this as one section, so we have one section of 7 puffs. Now we're going to begin with the first one. So we're going to work a single crochet front post over our first puff of that section, right? Then we're going to chain 2, single crochet front post over the next puff, chain 2, and then single crochet front post over the next puff. Then we're going to yarn over and we're going to work 2 double crochets. We're going to chain 2. We're going to skip number 4, so that sort of top center puff, and we're going to work 2 double crochets on the other side like that. Then we're going to immediately work a single crochet front post, chain 2, single crochet front post, chain 2, single crochet front post, chain 1. Now we're going to yarn over twice, and we're going to go all the way down to our chain 4 space from round number 3. So that's the chain space between our popcorns from round number 3. We're going to work a treble, 1, 2, 3, and we're going to work another treble. Okay, so just keep your wits about you that you don't pick up any other strands as well. Right, I'm just going to release a bit more yarn. Okie dokie. Okay, so we've done our treble, chain 1, and then again 1 single crochet front post, chain 2, 1 single crochet front post, chain 2, single crochet front post, yarn over, 2 double crochets, chain 2, skip, then we've got 2 double crochets into the, so these are the chain 1 spaces, right, that we made between just before and after our that sort of center puff. Single crochet front post, chain 2, single crochet front post, chain 2, single crochet front post, chain 1, and I'll just finish off this one, then you can see the completed section. Again, we're going to that chain 4 space from our round number 3. We're working 2 trebles, 1, 2, 3, chain 1, and single crochet front post, chain 2, single crochet front post, chain 2, single crochet front post. So I'm just going to stop there. Right, so now it's going to look like that. So now what we've done is just created a little border around all of this. Okay, and that's pretty much how you're going to continue. All right, so you're going to have 8 sections, so you'll have 8 times 2 trebles, and then you'll have 8 times 4 double crochets, 8 times chain 2 spaces, 16 chain 1s either side like that. Okay, and then you're going to have 4, so you're going to 8 times 4, because you've got 1, 2, 3, 4 chain 2 spaces on the side. Maybe what we should do is just, I was going to say this is a corner chain 2, but we'll say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so 5 times 8 chain 2 spaces. But anyway, if you want to check your stitch count, then just, you know, check it against the written pattern to make sure that your stitches are correct before you start working in your ends, okay? Because you do not want to be wanting to be going back and sorting this out later and having to frog everything because your stitch count isn't correct. Okay, so don't listen to me because it's a lot of different stitches that you have to remember how many there are of. So just check again your text pattern for the stitches. Okay. I don't think there's anything else. Pretty simple. If you get stuck, just remember that you can always visit us on the Hooks and Tails Pattern Workshop group. And I set up that group specifically for all of you who are making the patterns and need a little bit of maybe some extra guidance if you a little bit confused about my way of writing patterns. Okay, and if the videos are not working for you, I'll see you at round number 10. What I want you to do because so now I've kind of gone on to round number 9, but I want to go back to round number 8 because I wanted to show you how to make that. Right, so to make that little bubble, all you do is work a puff, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So just a standard puff into a magic ring like that. Okay, then you pull your magic ring closed like that. You snip off your yarn, pull through, and then you just knot your two ends together like that. Okay, just make sure that you're going in the right direction because you want to be at the back of that puff. And then it makes that very, very cute little bobbly thing like that. And you just work it through the center. Okay. So, all right, so that's basically part of this. I beg your pardon. Oh, my dogs are going mad. They're so naughty. They've been so naughty all morning. So naughty. Okay, so that's how you make that little bubble. All right. So I'm going to call that round 8B, round 8A and B. Okay. Right, now we're on to round number 9 and we're going to be moving on to round number 10. And we're on to round number 10. So what we're going to be doing for round number 10, so first of all, we're going to move onto our cream color. And I'm just going to take my jacket off because the weather goes from warm to freezing cold. That's Cape Town for you. Okay, so now what we're going to be doing is we are going to be working into that chain space that we made between our puffs from round number 7. Right? We made a chain 2 space there, remember? So we're going to be working into that chain 2 space. Going to make a chain 3 and then another 3 double crochets. So we have 4 double crochets into that chain 2 space. Yarn over. Now we're going to be working between our puffs from that same round, from round number 7. So we're going to work a double crochet. So we're going to skip the first puff, double crochet into the next space. Into the next space, 1 double crochet. Now we're going to make another double crochet into the same space where we made, so that chain 1 space where we made our 2 double crochets. We are going to work another double crochet. Then we're going to skip those 2 double crochets and into that same chain 1 space we're going to make another double crochet. Right, so think of this as side A. Now we're going to mirror exactly what we did on side A. Double crochet, skip 2 double crochets and double crochet into that same chain 1 space. Double crochet into the next space, double crochet into the next space, 4 double crochets into the chain 2 space. Right, I'm going to do that again. So we've got 4 double crochets in the chain 2 and that's where you begin. Puff, 1 double crochet, skip over the next puff, 1 double crochet. Okay, skip the next puff, 1 double crochet into the chain 1 space, skip the 2 double crochets, 1 double crochet into the same chain 1 space, skip the next puff, 1 double crochet into the next chain 1 space, skip 2 double crochets, 1 double crochet into the same chain 1 space, and then 1 double crochet into the next 1, 2 spaces. Skip the next puff, 4 double crochets, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And that's it. Right. Okay, so it's going to look like that. Right, so you're just going to carry on like that, right? So you're going to have 8 double crochets like that. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So you're going to have 8 times 8 double crochets, and then you're going to have 8 times 4 double crochets. So it's good to break them up like that, and then you can just count. Okay, I have 8 of those and I have 8 of those. Right. Right, so that is round number 10, and then of course to finish off you're just going to slip stitch into your second double crochet and fasten off, and I shall see you at round number 11. So we're on to round number 11, and the color that I'm using is Vintage Peach. Okay, so now what we're going to be doing is we're going to find our section where we made our 4 double crochets into that chain 2 space from round number 7. We're going to skip, so in the pattern I say skip the first 2 double crochets from round number 10 because we started off with the 4 double crochets, right? So we're going to skip the first 2 and work into that space. Okay, and we're going to make popcorn. So just the traditional way, 5 double crochets, 3, 4 and 5. I have to tell you, it is so cold. My hands are absolutely freezing. Our South African houses are not built for cold winters, and yet we have them every winter. So, you know, we don't have things like central heating and so on and so forth. Some homes have fireplaces. Most people use either their fireplaces or they use electric heaters or oil heaters or so on and so forth. So I have a little blow heater which is very, very effective, and it warms up my little workroom very quickly, but it's noisy. So, right, so now we've made our popcorn using our Vintage Peach. We're going to chain 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now feel free to make more chains if you feel it's a bit of a stretch to get all the way to that space between your double crochets. Now we're going to skip 6 double crochets. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're going to just work a single crochet into that space. So if your tension is quite tight, okay, you have to just judge for yourself. You might want to add another chain or 2. So I've done 6, right? But you can do 8, for example, if you need to. Then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yarn over, and now we're going to be skipping 6 double crochets this way, so to our left, and into the next space we're going to work 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're going to work another popcorn. Okay, again, just judge those chain spaces for yourself. Okay, and if you feel it's pulling excessively, then do add more chains. Right, so you're just going to go around like that, working a popcorn into the spaces between your 2 times 2 double crochets, so that section where we have 4 double crochets. So you're going to have 8 popcorns, 16 chain 6 spaces, and 8 single crochets. Okay, so that is round number 11, and I shall see you at round number 12. Okay, so now we're on to round, should I call it a round? It's an independent round, so it's kind of a standalone section of the pattern. If you've never done my patterns before, you're probably thinking, what is this woman talking about? But if you've done my patterns before, you'll fully understand the reason why I call them crochet adventures. Right, so this is an independent round. The color that I'm using is pistachio. So what you're going to do is find your 2 trebles from round number 9. And now you're going to work over that joining space with a single crochet. And then you're going to chain another 7, so you'll have 8 chains altogether. So we're calling that one 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now I did this in Arcadia and I really had fun with it. You know, just this little kind of stalk. And now, so now you have your chain 8 and you've fastened it off. You're just going to pull that under your puff from, your popcorn from the previous round. Just turn your work over. Now you're going to bring your 2 ends together like that. Okay, and just gently tie them together. And then you can work in your ends. And now you can work your ends in behind at the back of your puffs like that. So you've got plenty of yarny meat to work your ends away into. Right, and that's what you're going to have. You're going to have those little stems or stalks. Right, so I'm just going to finish off mine. You'll just have 8 of those. Right, so that is an independent round. The color that I'm using is pistachio, and you're going to have 8 times 8 chain stems. And I shall see you at round number 13. Okie dokie, so we're on to round number 13, and the color that we're using is our cream. Now, what we're going to do is we are going to begin now. You can actually, when you see what how this round plays out, that it's actually a very simple round, you can choose where you want to begin, okay? But I'm beginning in the section where we have our 4, remember where we made the 4 double crochets into our chain 1 space from round number 7, but of course now it's been divided up between our stem and our little bud. So now I'm going to call this 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to call those double crochets. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4. So now into the first of those 4, of that set of 4 double crochets, I'm going to just make a double crochet. So you can do a standing double crochet, and I've just done a traditional chain 3. Right, now yarn over, and working over the next double crochet, you're going to work a double crochet front post. Then you're going to work a single crochet into your little bud, yarn over, and now we're just going to mirror what we've just done. So there goes another siren, and then there's a double crochet front post, and now we're going to work 1 double crochet into our next 5 double crochets. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're going to skip over the single crochet and we're going to work into the next 5 double crochets, right? So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're going to begin here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yarn over, and here we are again at the double crochet where we're going to make our double crochet front post. Single crochet into our little popcorn bud, yarn over, double crochet front post, and then 1 double crochet into the next 5 double crochets. Excuse me. 5 double crochets, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right, and then you're just going to repeat everything that we did before. Okay, so it's going to look like that. So we're basically just creating a background at the moment. All right, so that is round number 13. And no, not round, yes, round number 13. I'm just wondering, I'm looking for my, oh, there we go. So that's round number 13. And I shall see at round number 14, and to close, you're just going to slip stitch into the top of your double crochet, your first double crochet front post, and fasten off. Okay, so I shall see you at the next round, which is round number 14. So we're on to round number 14. Round number 14, we're going to be using our violet color called Palmer Violet. Right, now we're going to be working either side of our single crochet that we made into our popcorn. So we're not working into the popcorn, we're just working into the space to the right and the left of the single crochet. We're going to be making trebles. So I'm going to start with a chain 4. Then we're going to make, so we're working 2 trebles together, chain 1 to close, chain 1. We're going to do that 3 times into that same space. Right. Okay. So chain 1 to close, chain 1, chain 1 to close, chain 1, and then again 2 more trebles together, chain 1 to close, chain 1. Now we're going to skip our single crochet and we're going to work into the space to the left of that single crochet, and we're going to do another 3 of these 2 trebles together with the chain 1 in between. Chain 1 to close, chain 1, chain 1 to close, chain 1, and the last one. Okay, chain 1 to close. Now we're going to skip our next double crochet front post and then the next 5 double crochets. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that's the double crochet front post, and we're just going to make a single crochet into that space. No, before we do that, I almost forgot. We're going to, so chain 1 to close, chain 2. Otherwise, we're going to be in trouble. Then we're going to chain 2, yarn over twice. I'm going to do it one more time with you. So we're going into the space right of the single crochet that we made in our previous round. Chain 1 to close, chain 1. Don't forget that chain 2. I almost forgot that chain 2. Chain 1. You might even want to make it a chain 3 if your tension is very tight. You just have to judge for yourself. Right, then we're going to, so we have 3 times 2 trebles together, and now we're going to skip over into the space to the left of the single crochet. 2 trebles together, chain 1 to close, chain 1. Chain 1 to close, chain 1. chain 1 to close, chain 1, chain 1 to close, chain 2, and then single crochet into the next space after you've skipped 6 stitches. Okay, don't forget that chain 2. I don't know why I keep on forgetting it, but when I was doing the sample piece, it was the same story. The first sample piece. This is the second sample piece. Right, so you're just going to carry on like that. So you should end up with 8 times 6 times 2 trebles together, because we have 6, okay, and then we do it 8 times. So 8 times 6 times 2 trebles together. And then our chain spaces, we're going to have 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we have 8 times 5 chain 1 spaces. And then we have 16 chain 2 spaces and 8 single crochets. Right, and if you need to check your stitch count before you work in your ends, then just scoot on over to the text pattern and I'll have the complete stitch count there for you just to check against. Okay, so that is now. You're just going to go, before I say that is round number 14, you're going to go all the way around like that, and then to close off you'll just slip stitch into the top of your beginning 2 trebles together and fasten off. Okay, so I shall see you at round number 15. Okie dokie, so we're on to round number 15, and the colour we're using is grape. So what we're going to do is we're going to be working into our chain 2 space from round number 9, I think it was. Right, so we're going to go into that chain 2 space. We're going to be working 3 double crochets together. So I'm going to do a chain 3 plus 2 double crochets, work them together, chain 1 to close, chain 1, and then we're going to work another one. 1, 2, 3. So the pattern is 3 double crochets together, chain 1, 3 double crochets together into the chain 2 space from round number 9. Now we're going to yarn over and we're going to be working half double crochet front posts over our 2 trebles together with a chain 2 in between. So chain 2, half double crochet front post, 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 chain 2, and half double crochet front post. And then we're back to working into that chain 2 space, 3 double crochets together, chain 1 to close, chain 1, and another one. 1, 2, 3. And back to working half double crochet front post, chain 2, and so on. Right. Now you'll see that you've got this bit peeking out over here, but in our next round we're going to be working popcorns in our lime green color. So my suggestion again is try and stick, not obviously you can change your colors, but the way that I've used the colors you might want to stick with that, okay, because we're going to be working a treble front post over our center puff over here, right, from round number 7 so that we cover that little area over there. Okay, so there we go. So that is round number 15, and you're just going to carry on like that, go all the way around, and then you're just going to slip stitch into the top of your 3 double crochets together, or if you're cheating like me, you can just slip stitch into the chain 1 space, which is what I did. Okay, so I shall see you at round number 16. So before you fasten off, not before you fasten off, but before you work in your ends, make sure that your stitch count is accurate. So just check back to the text pattern and just check your stitch count against what I've written there. Okay, so I shall see you at the beginning of round number 16. Okay, so we're on to round number 16. Round number 16, we are going to do, we're going to be working sort of on the wrong side of our work, okay? But we're not really working on the wrong side, we're just kind of coming in from the wrong side to, well, you'll see what I mean, okay? A little bit difficult to explain, that's why I have videos. Right, so what we're going to do is we're going to find our 2 times 3 double crochets together from our previous round. Now what we want to do is we want to go in underneath that chain 2 that we worked into from round number 9, and we want to just pull this puff to the back. And now we're going to be working 2 double crochets together, but as front posts. But you can see what I mean, why it's a bit difficult to explain, because you're working at the back, but it's going to show in the front. Right, so you might want to use your fingers just to begin. It gets a bit easier. Right, chain 1 to close. Then you're going to chain 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're going to make a single crochet into the chain space, the chain 6 space that we did between our popcorns. 1, 2, 3, 4. Skip the popcorn and single crochet into the next chain 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yarn over. Right, so we're going all the way to the next. So this is the puffs from round number 7, and this is puff number 4, right? And we're going to just work 2 double crochets over that. So it's finicky when you have a chain on the other end of your hook like that. Okay, that's what I have found, that it's always a bit difficult. So try not to pull your yarn too tight. Works if you just gently. There we go. And there we go. Chain 1 to close. 1, 2, 3, 4. Single crochet into the chain 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. Single crochet into the next chain 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I wanted to mention here that, you know, I have, if you know my work, then you know that I have a lot of these big blocks. And why I originally designed them as cushion blocks and didn't want to go on to make them into throws or blankets. The only reason I did that was because so many people asked for extensions. But the reason why I was reluctant, and I still am in a way, to do the throws and the blankets is because I feel that it holds me back a little bit, okay? Because I'm not so sure that this is practical for a blanket when you have these chain spaces at the back. And it's also one of the reasons why I started making independent rounds. So, you know, where you don't have these bridging chains, because the bridging chains, you can imagine a blanket. If you've got a blanket over you and you're catching your bits and pieces, you know, your toes and your fingers in these chain spaces. It would be different if you lined it. But this makes an ideal design for a big cushion cover, big decorative cushion cover, because then, of course, these little bits are, you know, in your cushion. So they're not going to bother you, and you're just going to have the advantage of seeing the design in the front. And that's really what I love doing. That's really my forte, is designing these big 50 centimeter blocks or 20 inches. Okay, so anyway, so here we are. We're doing our 2 double crochets together. Of course, if you want to add an extension to this, the square is going to finish off at 84 stitches. And then you can add an extension, and I might even design an extension for the Moonflower, because that's the name. I didn't have a name when I started, but I eventually, it kind of came to me. I thought, oh yes, that's what it reminds me of, a Moonflower. Okay, so enough of that waffling. So that's what you're going to be doing. Okay, so you're going to be working 2 double crochet front posts over the center puff from round number 7, and it's puff number 4, right? And then you saw how I showed you how to do it, and then you'll just do these chain 4s at the back. Again, if your tension is very tight, just add another chain or 2. You know, you just need to judge that for yourself. And then you're just going to go all the way around, and when you've finished, you can just slip stitch in your first chain 4 space and fasten off. Okay, so that's round number 16, and I shall see you at round number 17.